Paul Craig versus Jamal Hill takes place this weekend on the main card of UFC 263, Adesanya versus Vettori 2, and I can't wait for this light heavyweight bout. It's inside the light heavyweight rankings, number 15 Jamal Hill versus number 14 Paul Craig, and it is opening up the main card of this weekend's card, and I can't wait, in all honesty. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a great way to open up the main card. Young, undefeated prospect in Jamal Hill versus Paul Craig. You've got Jamal Hill, I believe he's now 9-0. Or 8-0, sorry. He arguably should be 9-0 because he tested positive for the old Devil's lettuce against Klidson Fariasti-Abreu, but he destroyed Klidson Fariasti-Abreu in the first round. I consider him 9-0. He's basically 9-0. What are we talking about? He's a 9-0 fighter, Jamal Hill, looking to go 10-0 against Paul Craig. Paul Craig has had some losses in his career, but recently seems to be picking back up some momentum. He's got 2 wins in a row. We'll talk about those 2 wins in a second because, not the best 2 wins in the world at this point in those 2 fighters' careers. Either way, Jamal Hill coming off a big win against OSP. I mean, both of these guys are kind of just coming off wins against aging fighters, but that's kind of how the light heavyweight division is. Outside of the rankings and around the bottom of the rankings of the light heavyweight division, it's just older guys who are clinging on and somehow beating certain prospects, but then other prospects that are good enough somehow manage to get the better of them, and then they get into the rankings themselves. It's just how the division works at light heavyweight, and typically the above divisions anyway. A lot of the higher weight classes, the veterans seem to stick around a little bit longer. But either way, both guys coming off good wins and TKO wins as well. Jamal Hill, got a TKO win against Ovin St. Preux in the second round. Looked really good in that fight. Got his legs chewed up a little bit, but fought through it, which is really good to see because it was a weakness I was wondering if he might have, and OSP really tried to exploit that weakness, and Jamal Hill basically said, "Oh, you've seen my weakness? Fuck you, bitch. I'm walking you down. I'm putting fucking hands on you." And that's exactly what he did in that fight against OSP. He walked him down. He put hands on him. He never let OSP settle and just non-stop swarmed OSP in the light heavyweight division. It's not a usual style that you see. I know Yuri Prohaska is now in the light heavyweight division, so it kind of is a bit more of a frequent style at that weight class, but usually you don't see pace setters and like swarmers and breakers in the higher divisions of MMA, which is why I really like watching Jamal Hill. He's taken on Paul Craig, who has come off a win against Gadzi Hermadantigulov and Shogun Rua. Do I respect those wins? You know what I'm saying? Like, OSP is still dangerous at this point in his career. I feel like Shogun Rua at this point is just a testosterone-less shell of a human being that's still called Shogun, so it's a cool name to get a win over. But Paul Craig got a win over him. Before that, he drew to him, so it does show that maybe Paul Craig is making improvements as Shogun Rua is probably fading a little bit at this point in his career, but I don't really rate that win too highly. Well done, you got a takedown on Shogun Rua. You had to get 4 of them to keep him there and eventually get a finish. If Shogun Rua, without testosterone in his body, is managing to find a way up from your takedowns as an old man, I think Jamal Hill's going to be able to do that as well. Also, he has a win over Gadzi Hermadantigulov, which is a good win from Paul Craig, a little bit of a younger guy. Got him in the triangle choke because Antigulov is a Dagestani guy, and if they're Dagestani, Paul Craig finishes them off of his back with a triangle choke. Just typically seems to be how it works. I feel like Jamal Hill's takedown defense is good enough to beat Paul Craig. A lot of people have been picking against Jamal Hill throughout his career, but I've been riding the wave. I think he's, I don't know, I see a lot of comments on Tapology and Sherdog, and just whenever you go and look at, let's see what people are predicting for this fight, they always seem to take a little fucking swipe at Jamal Hill. I don't know why. I'm not seeing anything that they're seeing in terms of like badness. Like, I get it, he's a light heavyweight, he's not going to have the technical skill of a bantamweight prospect on the rise, but Jamal Hill is actually a really, really good fighter, really good hands, great distance control as well, and he's improving every single time, and that's something else I want to talk about here. He's improving more and more each time, even though he's an older guy, and he's not a young guy, 30 years of age. It's not like a young 25-year-old prospect on the rise that you'd usually see, but he's so young in the sport of MMA, and he has so little experience that he's doing all of his learning now, at this later part in his career. You know what I mean? He's gaining his experience now. He's not getting to the UFC at 25 and he's 11-0 and now looking for his big moment to fight a debutant, a guy who's going to get him into the UFC. Like, Jamal Hill has taken the fast road, he's taken the speed lane, and he's here already taking on Paul Craig, and I think we're seeing drastic improvements every single fight, and his last fight against OSP was the best performance we've seen against him. If you told me the guy who beat Darko Stozic in Jamal Hill, I know know he beat him very convincingly and beat him very well and just tuned up Darko Stosic basically every single round. But so technically advanced is he from that last guy who fought Darko Stosic. Like, they're night and day when you look at the pair of them fighting. The footwork's way better from Jamal Hill. The defensive work on the feet is way better. The distance management is better. He doesn't really get caught by hooks as much as he was against Darko Stosic as he did against OSP. Very good elusiveness. Took some leg kicks, of course, as I mentioned, but did very well without them. Whilst they were landing on him, just walked through them, kept putting the pressure on OSP, backed him up constantly so he couldn't get any, like, momentum into those leg kicks and just tuned him up against the cage. Jamal Hill is a savage fighter. I really like him. I think he's going to go far in the light heavyweight division, and I think he's going to TKO Paul Craig very, very brutally. And I think it's going to happen maybe in the first round. I think it's going to be a clean win for Jamal Hill. The takedown defense is pretty good. I know he's been taken down in his career by Darko Stosic. He used to do something where he leans back all the time. And this is what I'm talking about with the improvements that he's made. He leant back a lot against Darko Stosic. And I think that led to a lot of those reactionary takedowns from Darko Stosic. But again, he got taken down. What happened? He got taken down by Darko Stosic 6 times. Well done. He got taken down 6 times. What happened? He got right back up. I think, how much control time did Darko Stosic have on him in that fight? It can't have been longer than, like, 3 minutes or something like that of the fight. Like, Jamahal Hill seemed to pop up really fast after Darko Stosic got him down. It was 2 minutes and 20 seconds of control time among 6 takedowns from Darko Stosic, which is actually, per takedown, on average, if I'm going to use my mathematician's brain, 6 into 220. That's half that is a minute 10. Divide it by 3 is minute 10. 23 seconds, 0.3 recurring per takedown. Amazing takedown defense from Jamahal Hill, and when he does get taken down, he pops right back up again. And also, Paul Craig, although he took down Shogun in his last fight a couple of times and showed some improvements, he's an older guy, so improvements aren't really going to be something that just randomly come to him in fights. He did show some against Shogun, but I think it was mainly because of Shogun's lowering testosterone levels, and maybe just this time Paul Craig didn't empty out the gas tank, raining down shots in the first round against him like he did the first time they took each other on. But watching his fights, if you go to fights like the Kennedy Nzechukwu one, people will remember him triangling Kennedy Nzechukwu in the very last second of the fight, nearly. But they don't remember that he tried to take down Nzechukwu 16 fucking times and got one of them, and then that got reversed. You know what I mean? Like, he's good, but I think against someone who actually has testosterone in their system and has some strength and has that I think he's going to lose. And I think Jamal Hill's going to stuff a couple of takedowns early against Paul Craig, land some shots, just little tappy ones to make Paul Craig know that he's worse than Jamal Hill at striking. Then Paul Craig's going to shoot for some more takedowns. Jamal's going to stuff him again, or if he does get taken down, he's going to pop right back up to his feet. This is going to make Paul Craig a little bit more tired towards the end of the first round. His hands are going to start lowering, and that's when Jamal Hill's going to put on the pressure at the end of the first round and land a straight shot square on the chin on Paul Craig, putting him down, TKOing him afterwards, and finishing him off inside that first round. Paul Craig's got one chance in this fight, and it's just blasting a double leg and somehow getting it and keeping Jamal Hill there and finishing him there as well. And I just don't see that happening. Man, Jamal Hill's a tall, lanky guy, very good, very long, and long guys are harder to keep a hold of on the ground because they've got so much weight spread out among, like, a longer person, so it's hard to get your body weight over the entirety of them. Like, you can be over the hips on a shorter opponent and they can't get back up. You can be over the hips on a takedown and, like, have your weight over the hips after a double leg on Jamal Hill, and he's still got room to posture up and get his hand behind him and start working towards the cage. I feel like this is a bad matchup for Paul Craig, and he's going to get taken out. And, yeah, I'm going with Jamal Hill. I really like him, man. I don't know why people just disregard him. I picked him in his last fight. I picked him in the fight before that. I like him. I think he's very good, and I think he actually is going to go on to be a top 5 contender at least. I'm not willing to say champion yet. Maybe this kind of performance will show me that. I'm not willing to say champion yet, but I'm willing to say top 5 from what I've seen so far. Just technique-wise. Listen, light heavyweight, it's not the strongest division in the world. It's kind of like the middleweight division in that way, and the heavyweight division. These heavier weight classes, once you see a little bit of skill, little bit of technique, it can go a long way when you consider things. Like, Magomed Ankalaev made it to number 7 by knowing how to check hook. You know what I mean? Like, you can really do things, and I think if he wins this one, he's going to be looking at a name like who the fuck is he going to take on if he wins? There's been a bunch of matchups made. Ryan Spann, Anthony Smith kind of fucked up my whole plans. I was going to do him versus Ryan Spann after this one. I guess the winner of Paul Craig, Jamal Hill, can take on Nikita Krylov. Seeing as Thiago Santos is matched up with Johnny Walker, which again makes no sense. I think they're trying to get rid of the losers and put the winners against them so they can get some new blood in the light heavyweight division. I think they're probably going to do Jamal Hill versus Volkan Ozdemir, Nikita Krylov, Misha Serkinov, one of those names. I'd recommend an Ozdemir or a Krylov. Maybe Ozdemir's a little bit too much so soon, but Krylov would be a great matchup to see if he also has great takedown defense there. But I think if he wants a nice matchup where he can showcase some striking and not have to worry about grappling, Volkan Ozdemir seems like the right opponent for him. And Ozdemir's obviously going to be wanting to come back at some point this year after his injury. So if I was Jamal Hill, I'd call out Volkan Ozdemir. He's been out for a while, so you can maybe jump him out the gates and get him on his back foot and get him a little bit tentative like Jiri Prohaska did to him. I think that's going to be a great move for Jamal Hill. The loser of this one, light heavyweight division. Let's have a little look at who they could take on. I guess it's going to be a bit of a setback. Maybe if like Johnny Walker loses, the loser of this one can take on Johnny Walker. If it's Paul Craig, it's a bit of a nice bounce back for Johnny Walker because Craig's a little bit chinny. And that's something else we can talk about as well. I know he will massively disagree of being called chinny, as everyone would if they... You know, denial is the first stage of chinniness. Ask James Vick. He did not get the memo to take some time off, and he just kept fighting. Paul Craig, KO'd against Manyfield, finished against Jimmy Crute and hurt in that fight as well. KO'd against Khalil Roundtree Jr., KO'd by elbows against Tyson Pedro. He's just been rocked in so many fights as well in between all of that. His wins are against Vinicius Mejia, Gatti Hermadantigulov, Mauricio Hua. I couldn't even... If I had to name 3 light heavyweight fighters with the lowest testosterone, I'd name those 3 fighters. Vinicius Mejia, Antigulov, and Shogun Hua. I'm going with Jamal Hill. He's good. Like and subscribe. And the chest tattoo isn't even that bad. It's unique. You know, sometimes things are shit, but sometimes they're uniquely shit. You know what I mean? So I like a bit of uniquely shit. Like, it's just a bit of fun, you know? 2 thumbs up on the chest. Little bit of writing that you can't even fucking understand in the center of it. It's a shit tattoo. But sometimes shit tattoos are good. I see it in every single comment. Whenever they post a picture of Jamahal Hill. What are those shit tattoos on his chest? Maybe that's what maybe that'll be his thing. He'll be the guy with the shit tattoos. Maybe that's his niche. You never know. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. People are going to know who Jamal Hill is after this fight. I think you'll get a TKO in the first round. And then I'd like to keep him active, in all honesty. He's a 30-year-old at light heavyweight. Let's get him right towards the top of the rankings as soon as we can. So I'd say this one. If he wins that one, Volkan Ozdemir. I'm not getting ahead of myself, but if he wins that one, then we're starting to look at maybe like the loser of Glover Teixeira, Jan Blachowicz, or the loser of, or the winner even of Thiago Santos, Johnny Walker, who knows. We'll see what goes down at the light heavyweight division, but it's fun right now with a lot of contenders, and if Jamal Hill wins, we got another one. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. Jamal Hill TKO round 1. Combination punches against the cage to a shelled up Paul Craig who just can't take the concussions anymore. Goodbye.